Hello friends, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and if this is the first video of mine that you're catching, welcome. My name is Rachel. I am a reseller on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. I actually have this as my full-time or single source of income. I left my corporate job about a year ago so that I could stay home with my daughter. I've been a reseller at least part-time since the early 2000s, over 20 years now. And one of the biggest questions I get asked is, how do I handle or how do I navigate or even prevent the summer slowdown? So that's what we're going to talk about today, is preventing the summer slowdown and things that you can do to set yourself up for success during slower months. So if you want to hear what works for me, definitely stick around. So like I said, I've been reselling for a very, very long time, and it's been a lot of trial and error. I'm going to talk about a few things that have worked for me to set myself up for a successful summer. Honestly, my answer is probably not going to be what a lot of people want to hear, but we'll talk about it anyway. I'm all about honesty and truth and giving it to you straight on this channel. If you like reseller content though, make sure you consider subscribing to my channel. I love sharing my tips and tricks, and I don't worry about other people on this channel. I just talk about what I'm doing and what's working for me. I love hearing in the comments what you guys are doing. So let me know too what you're doing to help prevent or navigate these slower summer months. Let me know what's working for you, and hit that like button if you could. That helps out the channel a lot as well. And let me get right into it. So I like to think of it a little bit more as the dreaded J months, right? Because it's not just summer that we get slowdown. I think it's June, July, and January, not always in the summer, but they have, you know, a few things in common. June and July, kids are out of school, people are taking vacations, people are outdoors more, on their devices a little less in general, generally speaking. And so there's not as much really shopping going on. They pretty much have what they need for summer. They're not quite ready to start shopping for fall and back to school. So there ends up being a little bit of a slump. Same thing in January. Everybody's burnt out spending from Christmas. They're not on their devices as much because they're not shopping as much. It's over and it's time to take a break, right? So this isn't necessarily applied to just summer, but I know that's where we are right now. And because June and July are back to back, we tend to feel it a little bit more. So I do want to talk about some things I do to prevent the summer slowdown. I was curious to hear what other resellers were saying about this topic. And a lot of people give advice about what you can do right now to help yourself make sales during the summer slowdown. That's not this video, because there are things you can do right now. I didn't really have anything to add to the lists that were already out there. Like, I do the same things over and over. But what I want to do is actually talk about the overall big picture and what you can do to prevent a slowdown, because right now is not the time to prevent your slowdown, right? You have to plan and anticipate what's going to happen before it happens so that you can prevent it from happening, rather than just operating in this fire drill type mentality where like, oh, I have to fix it. Oh, I have to, pick up the pieces because my sales are slow. So hopefully this helps you from a longevity standpoint. You can do what you can do this year, but maybe this helps you moving into the next upcoming January and then the next upcoming June and July to not experience such a slowdown. So the biggest thing I found, number one, have seasonally available items. Back when I was part-time reselling, back when I lived in Michigan, so I'm talking 5+ years ago, and I hear this a lot, like niche down, find your niche, which is great until it's not, right? So my niche was denim, jeans. I was very good at thrifting and sourcing jeans, and I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pairs of jeans because I would rip through the thrift stores, through the jeans section only. I'd move on to another thrift store, and I made a ton of money selling jeans when the weather was cooler. And then the summer came along and people aren't buying denim as much in the summertime. And so I would experience a summer slowdown 1000% of the time. Every single year, June and July were just like, I'm expecting I'm not going to make much money because I'm selling denim. So it's really important. And even if you want to niche down, I think that's great, but you'll anticipate a slowdown during certain months unless you keep seasonally in demand items available at all times. So what does that look like? For me, in the summer, I make sure I have swimwear. Swimwear does sell all year, right? But generally speaking, swimwear sells more in the summer. I make a ton of money on swimwear between like April and August, right? When people are buying swimsuits for vacation, spring break, all the way up through the summer. In the winter, I make sure I have sweaters, jackets, denim, boots. I keep that stuff stocked for the winter. If I was only selling swimwear, I would probably experience some downtime during the winter. So it is number one rule of reselling in general is have things that people want to buy, and then people will buy from you. But also have things that people want to buy right now and they will buy from you. And I know that sounds simple, and it is. Sometimes the best answer is the simplest answer. You really want to plan ahead and have in stock what people want to buy right now. That being said, I'm always looking ahead to the next season. It is June, and I'm pretty much putting a halt on summer inventory sourcing. So whether you're buying liquidation boxes or you're thrifting or whatever you're doing, you really have to switch it much sooner than you would think. So now that it's June, anything I buy that is summer inventory, I have to realistically understand I might not sell that stuff until next summer because it's time to really start stocking up on fall and winter. And I know that sounds funny because, you know, summer just got here, but you really want to prepare yourself for that next season. And by now, everything that you have sourced for summer should be on its way out. So it's always a constant cycle of reverse. I used to thrift primarily for my inventory primarily came from thrifting. It wasn't up until the past couple of years that I really started investing in buying mystery boxes. But I used to go during the Memorial Day sales at the thrift store, during the 4th of July sales, and I'm in the coat section, the sweater section. That's what I'm picking up, and that's what I'm getting listed or preparing to list, because 2 months from now, I want my summer stuff gone. I don't want to be just listing that stuff, and I don't want to pick it up. I mean, if it's something I think I can sell quickly, then sure, I probably will invest in it, but otherwise, you really want to start sourcing for the next season in the off season. So do keep that in mind. That's not going to help you now, right? But it can help you prevent that January slowdown, right? If you've got things people want during December and January, because you source them in the middle of summer. Number 3, which is the most important, I think even more important than number 1 or number 2, but those are the most obvious, so I did those first. I strongly recommend knowing your numbers. Have a good, I don't know if it's a spreadsheet or whatever. I like my Reseller Genie personally for accounting. I do have that link down below if you want to check it out. It is a software built for resellers by resellers, and it gives you all kinds of stats on what's selling in what months, what platforms are performing the best on, you know, what is working for you. So you can go back and look at previous months and say, okay, last summer, how did I do? What was I selling? You know, what was moving quickly for me? And that's where you put your effort into the next time. So have an accounting plan in place, know where your money's going, know what you're putting your money into, and have the data to back up your sourcing decisions, especially if you're in a slower sales month. Maybe you don't have as much money coming in, so you don't have as much money to spend on inventory. You have to be really strategic about where you're investing, and that's difficult to do if you don't have a good picture into what's working and what's not working. So check out my Reseller Genie. Even if that's not the path you want to go down, make sure you have a good accounting plan in place and a good way to just be able to see your data. Number 4 is sort of along the same lines, and again, a good reason to have a good accounting plan in place. Make sure that you are saving and accounting for those slower months. This is not an hourly job. This is not a salaried job. This is a make money for yourself job, right? So you and you alone are the one that has to plan for when you have a slowdown or if you have a slowdown. you can do whatever you want to try to safeguard yourself from slower months, but the reality is that they still happen, or not even slower months, but just maybe just circumstances beyond your control, you know, illness or natural disaster. I'm not trying to get dark and dreary here, but seriously, like, you don't get vacation time or, you know, disability, short-term disability. This is not an employer. You are employed by yourself. And so it is your responsibility to set aside funds for, you know, to stabilize when you are slower. So me personally, my strategy is as follows. Once I've paid my expenses, which I do have a business bank account and a business credit card for my business, I keep that entirely separate from all of my personal spending and my personal expenses. So once my business expenses are paid each month, I take what's left over and I split it into 3. 1/3 I pay myself, like my household bills, you know, what I actually live off of income-wise. 1/3 I put into savings 4 times like summer slowdown in case I ever need it. If I go into the negative 1 month and I can't afford to pay my bills, or I can't afford to pay my expenses, or if I want to invest in some really, really big, like bulk inventory opportunity, who knows? The point is, it's in savings and it's there if and when I need it. The other 1/3 gets set aside for taxes. And again, this is not necessarily related to summer slowdown, but those taxes creep up on you. Let me tell you, I've been in that boat. You want to put away for taxes every month. And if I have extra at the end of the year, then I kind of get a little tax refund out of my own tax fund, right? But my point is, I'm not taking all of my money that I make every month and putting it either into more inventory or paying myself. There is money being put aside. It doesn't matter how much it is, right? For me, it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But when I have slowdown, let's say I wanted to take a whole month off for vacation, or when my daughter was born, I hardly made any sales in that month. I gave birth and then I was postpartum, you know, reselling was on the back burner. Who knows? The point is, you want to make sure that you have that safeguard for yourself, put that in place for yourself so that you're not like struggling and panicking when you do have a slowdown. Because ultimately you can do all of those things that people probably suggest you do, you know, delist and relist and send offers and all of that stuff, hold a live show. I don't know, all the things people say that you should be doing to prevent or to bring yourself out of a slump in a summer slowdown. That's all well and good, but ultimately, if you're going to be slow, or if you're going to have a slump in sales, your bills still need to get paid, right? Especially if you're somebody that's relying on or trying to build yourself up to rely on your income. You have to have the discipline to put that money away yourself. So those are my best tips for preventing summer slowdown, not necessarily during summer, but in general. I guess I'm saying summer slowdown because that's when people ask me the question, that's what they kind of refer to it as. But slowdown can happen at any time for any reason, right? So for me, it's more like, these are my top tips to keep my business stable and afloat. But I definitely want to hear from you in the comments. This is certainly not an all-inclusive list. What are some things that you do to keep your business stable, especially during slow times? What advice would you give others that are struggling with summer slowdown? And let us know in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this. Let's help each other get through this time, you know, especially those that may not have thought to plan for this, or new resellers that aren't really at the point of having that stability of a consistent income and profit. Let's talk about it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe if you like reseller videos like this, tips and tricks, what's working for me in my business. I always welcome topic suggestions too in the comments. Hit that like button if you could. That certainly helps out the channel as well. And that's it for today, friends. Good luck out there, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.